Well, hello. This is Karin Zoe Lee, and you're listening to Lotus Moon Productions. Welcome to the Wrestling Wrantz Project. Whatever the promotion, we're here to learn and discuss. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the next 45 minutes of wrestling discussion with your host, Shugo Hanasaki.
Just start recording. I'm going to test the audio out, and then we'll be off.
Okay.
All right, how do you sound?
How do I sound? This is what I sound like. Check.
You sound good.
1, 2, 3.
You sound good. All right, man. Welcome back to the Wrestling Wrantz Project. Apologies to everyone if you've been expecting wrestling podcast. There's been some personal stuff going on with James and I, and we both had to take care of some stuff. While he's still dealing with some stuff, though, I'll be continuing to hold down the fort. Almost 2 months without Wrestling Wrantz. I can't get over how time flies. So with that mentioned, we're fresh off of WrestleMania 37, and what an interesting event it was, and the follow-up to it as well. So today we'll be covering our thoughts on WrestleMania as well as the Raw after, as WWE aims towards a Backlash in May. So helping me today with all of the discussion is the Big Cat Scott Henson. How's it going today, man?
Pretty good. How about you?
It's going pretty well here. I'm excited because we are recording on a Wednesday afternoon, and it's Wednesday. You know what that means. Shout out to Brody Lee. Because, man, I mean, Wednesdays will never be the same without him.
Yeah.
We'll start off with the positives.
Actually, before WrestleMania, we have to talk about Royal Rumble.
Oh, yeah.
And
okay,
and how you're going to congratulate me for my amazing predictions on it. Because I do believe I called both Edge winning and the number one entrant winning. So I assume my prize is in the mail, or how's that working?
It's there. You just gotta imagine really, really hard.
Okay. I gotta read The Secret and then manifest it.
Yeah. You just gotta use that imagination, and I guarantee it'll be there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there's even tracking too if you imagine even further.
Ooh, imaginary tracking, the best kind.
And you know what? And if it's not what you ordered, you can imagine sending it back.
I love you, pretend Amazon.
It doesn't even have to be Amazon. You can imagine something else.
No, I have a very weak imagination. Best I can do is Amazon.
Imagination land. It's the greatest place. Oh my, yes. Well, congratulations though on predicting that. I know Bianca, Belair, and Edge were in my top 3 picks, but I mean, it's never, it's always that number 1 pick that really stands out.
Yeah,
I had a few others on there too, but yeah. Well, speaking of WrestleMania, Edge, Bianca, Belair. Let's start with night 1, and Bianca Belair beat Sasha Banks for the World Championship, which made me really, really happy. That was an excellent main event.
It was. I agree. Which I believe puts us 1 for 2 on good female main events at WrestleMania, because the first one wasn't.
No, yeah, and we're definitely gonna get to that. So we're gonna highlight some positives, what we enjoyed at WrestleMania, and then we're gonna dive into what we didn't like. But getting back to the women's match. I do wish it kind of went just a tad bit longer, but you know what though, 15-20 minutes, that's pretty good for the women's main event, and they both absolutely smashed it. Bianca Belair really showcased her strength, and
it did such a good job of highlighting Bianca Belair.
Yeah.
It achieved that so well.
Yeah, it really, really did. And you know what? I'm loving Sasha Banks' new look. The blue and green really suits her.
It was interesting. Yeah, I wasn't really ready for it, but it was definitely like eye-catching for sure.
She gave it her all. I mean, the poor girl's now 0-6 at WrestleMania, though.
Really? I did not know that.
Yep, she's 0-6.
Damn.
There's a new streak.
Love it.
Yeah, so let's see how long she'll have that one for. Maybe it'll be a big moment. But I mean, for the longest time, it was Sasha Banks couldn't defend her title. and now she can't.
Oh, that was hilarious. Where she would always win it on Raw, and then in her first defense on the pay-per-view lose it, usually to Charlotte. Yeah, very funny. Always very funny.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and now she finally keeps it for a bit, but then loses it at the grandest stage of them all. So I mean,
yeah, but in a really good match. So yeah, I was very happy with that.
Now going forward, I'm not sure how much of SmackDown you watch, but would you want Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair to continue, or do you want Bianca Belair to defend it against somebody else?
Interesting question. I mean, for the sake of match quality, I got no problem with them continuing it. They would need a reason to, because Bianca just straight up beat her clean. So they'd have to figure something out. But if that's what they wanted to do, they certainly could. But it might be better for Bianca to just go do something else and then come back to Sasha later if the need arises.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Sasha Banks could actually win Money in the Bank in June.
That's true. Yeah. And although I'm guessing based on the name of the next pay-per-view, I'm guessing it's going to be a lot of WrestleMania rematches. It's called Wrestlemania Backlash, which when they put the graphic up on screen, I'm like, oh, that's odd. Why are they doing that? But
well, back in my day, after WrestleMania, Backlash used to be right after.
Well, I agree, and I'm fine. I'm fine with Backlash being after WrestleMania, but Backlash is not after WrestleMania this year. WrestleMania Backlash is after WrestleMania.
Yeah, and we already have Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley once again, which, I mean, they had a good match, but Bobby Lashley, I mean, that shocked me. But you know what, though? It was a good match between those two.
Yeah, it was solid. Like, Lashley's not really any good, but for what this was, it was fine. Drew's very good. I was absolutely baffled by the finish. Like, absolutely.
Yeah. The when he got knocked out.
Partly how he won, but partly the fact he won at all. It is your first match in front of fans in over a year, and you have the face challenger for the world title lose clean. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
Yeah, I actually agree. See, in my mind, I would have had Drew win. And then if we are gonna have this WrestleMania Backlash, fine, get Bobby Lashley to get it back then.
Yeah, fine.
But Drew McIntyre has been carrying that company now for the past year during this awful like year and a half or so, and he's giving it all.
he got screwed out of winning the world title in front of fans last year. I thought it was an absolute given he was going to get it this year.
Yeah. I agree. I thought the exact same thing. I mean, I enjoyed the match itself, but the ending, I think, was the wrong result. But you know what? Bobby Lashley has been essentially untouchable for the past year. He's... Oh, yeah,
they protected him like crazy. It's always interesting because they'll protect a guy like kind of starting in the summer, fall, because they did this with McIntyre in 2019. When he wasn't really much of a main eventer. He was there, but like not really doing anything. But even in random six-mans, he would never take the fall. Never. He never got pinned. And everyone's like, what are they like? Why is McIntyre so protected? He's like kind of an upper mid-carder. Like, what's the plan here? And then he wins the Royal Rumble and wins the title at Mania. Like, oh, that was the plan. So it's interesting that they occasionally have like long-term booking plans for one guy. And the same thing with Lashley, who was like more protected as the U.S. champion last year than any world champion was. And obviously that's because they had plans for him. It's weird that they can sort of book one person at a time, but as far as booking an entire company, it sort of gets away from them.
Yeah, for sure. Now another positive highlight that I wanted to showcase was this knocked me on right field, and you probably know, or left field, and you probably know where I'm going with it. It was Bad Bunny and Damian Priest defeating The Miz and John Morrison. I always knew that Bad Bunny and Damian Priest were going to win, and
of course,
I mean, I'm not a fan of Bad Bunny's music, but I don't know the guy. I don't know who he is. I know he does a lot of things for the LGBTQ, which is good. But I mean, I don't follow his career and everything, but I have to give the guy his dues. Like, whatever training he's been doing in the last couple of months, or if he knew this beforehand, the guy unleashed a destroyer. And I was sitting there going, yeah, but he just did a Canadian destroyer. Like, what the hell?
I mean, yeah, like the destroyer was the coolest thing he did for sure. It wasn't, as far as like a non-wrestler, it wasn't like the most impressive thing. Like him like being in the right spot at the right time and like running the ropes all right is like way more impressive than doing a destroyer, because like you don't have to do anything to do a destroyer. Like you just jump and the guy under you does a backflip onto his head. Like it's a million times it's entirely the guy taking it.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. But just the fact that he was able to do it so precise and so well.
Oh yeah, no, it was definitely like the coolest spot of the match for sure. Don't get me wrong, but like his two like off the top rope moves were good, and like like and I just couldn't believe that he worked, I don't know, 90% of the match. And it wasn't just like tag him in, do two spots, and then let Damian Priest do the rest of the work. Like it wasn't that at all.
Yeah, I was like, I'm really, really impressed, and that's why I have to give my respect to him. Like, again, I'm not a fan of his music. I'm just not a fan of that type of genre, which is fine. You know that.
You don't like that one beat that's in every goddamn song? No? Okay. Well,
no, not a fan.
I guess that's your business.
No, I'm just not. I mean, I didn't even know who he was. I mean, I heard about him here and there, I think a few times, but when I heard that he had over 6 million followers, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, he's like giant in the Latino community.
Yeah.
And like not that giant elsewhere.
Yeah, but I mean, power to him though for taking that much responsibility on for that match. And I mean, even the beating before WrestleMania, like when he got beat up behind or backstage by his car, and like I was like, damn, this guy's actually selling. He's taking bumps, he's doing moves. Like, I can't say anything negative about it. Like, I can't.
Oh no, like super impressive. Like incredibly surprised that he worked essentially the entire match, and Priest was like the highlight guy. But yeah, no, he did a great job. Like one of the best like celebrity performances I've seen in a match.
Yeah, absolutely. And another match that I wanted to shout out to that I really, really enjoyed. And while it was only about 10 minutes roughly, I do really wish they had gone 20. But you know what? Cesaro, Seth Rollins, I really enjoyed that.
So good.
Yeah. Like I want Cesaro to be world champion. I mean, people have been wanting him to be world champion for the past like 5 years. The guy deserves it. I mean, look what happened to his teeth, for God's sakes, a few years ago.
Yeah.
Like, the guy is tough as nails, and he knows how to wrestle. And I mean, is talking his greatest suit? No, but you don't need that.
But that being said, he's not bad at talking either. Like, he's charming.
Yeah. And with Sheamus there in the bar, they had a really good thing going there as well. So, like he's much more than a tag team champion. That's not knocking on any tag team champions. I'm just saying, like, he has all of the qualifications, like all the boxes checked for a world champion.
He is easily a top 5 wrestler in the company and has been for 9 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And have Seth Rollins, put him over like that. I really appreciate that. Like, and I'm not sure the feud, I guess, at the WrestleMania Backlash. I guess it'll probably continue there. But let's hope Cesaro wins there too, because we want to cement him now as fans, right? We want him to go up, up. And Seth Rollins is a brilliant person to do that with.
Yeah, and like the fact they gave him a singles win at Mania is at least encouraging, although they've encouraged me with him before and severely let me know. Like he won the first Andre Battle Royal, and everyone's like, oh, they're going to do something with Cesaro, and then nope. So I'm cautiously optimistic, let's say, but a singles win at Mania it's not nothing. So that's a plus.
Cautiously optimistic should be the tagline for WWE.
Yeah.
Like that should be the tagline just under it. World Wrestling Entertainment, cautiously optimistic. It works. I was baffled. I mean, not really not baffled because they did it with Survivor Series a while back too when the New Day won their match in the pre-show. But Cesaro has never had a singles match at WrestleMania. He literally did last year against Drew Gulak on the pre-show.
Oh yeah.
And they kept saying that over and over and over, and I was like, I guess the pre-show don't matter. It just still doesn't matter.
I guess it don't. Yeah, like, that's right. I didn't even think about that.
Oh, it bothered me. I was like, shut
As
up.
It should, because they lied.
Yeah, like, continually. It's like it's not even like it was 10 years ago.
I was going to say, it's not even like he was on the pre-show in 2014. He was on the pre-show at the most recent WrestleMania.
Like poor Drew Gulak, and poor Cesaro. Like Cesaro works his ass off. I mean, Drew Gulak's another excellent wrestler that they have.
Gulak's amazing.
Yeah. He should be. I mean, if they're not going to do anything with him on WWE, put him back down in NXT and have him go for that NXT Cruiserweight Championship or even a tag team with somebody because I mean, hell, he's great. Great wrestler.
Or let him go to literally any other promotion in the world who will use him well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Now, there was one more match that I actually had a riot with, and that's AJ Styles and Almas beating the New Day.
It was so weird.
Yeah.
It was the weirdest match I've ever seen. The beloved faces, beat the shit out of one heel for 8 of the 9 minutes of the match. The heel eventually makes the heroic hot tag to his giant friend, who then murders the other two with one hand, and they win the titles. It was baffling.
I thought it was just hilarious, and I mean,
it was so funny.
And AJ Styles with him and Almost, like I remember what it was a couple of months ago now, or maybe even longer. When AJ Styles was just starting, when Almost was just starting to work with AJ Styles, and he spoke up, and AJ Styles looks up and goes, "You can talk, English?" Like, oh frig, man, I love AJ Styles, I really do, and this whole Almost thing with him on his shoulders, and just, oh man, I love it, and I really hope they do something fun with Almost because he's quite talented.
I'm sure they will. I feel like this is going to turn them face though, so I hope they're prepared for that.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Well, I mean, to be fair, they're back in the Thunderdome now. The Thunderdome.
So I guess they can just keep pretending they're heels until fans are back.
Yeah, and it really showed too, because who was actually we'll get to it quite shortly, because there's a point there with the fans making noise and noise being popped in. But so those were my highlights of night one. I didn't care for Braun Strowman, Shane McMahon. I mean, the steel cage match was all right, but the build was just painful.
I love a feud based around a 350-pound monster getting bullied.
Yeah, with the word stupid.
But being called a dummy. Also, the one thing I did appreciate about the whole thing is that even after he won, he never refuted the fact that he was a dummy. He was just mad about being called it, even though it was true. So I like that. He's like, "This one's for the dummies." I'm like, "Yep, sure is, buddy."
Yeah, you're right there. Yep. The Braun Strowman, Shane McMahon. I'm like, oh, Shane McMahon, what are you doing? Like, just, you could, like, I understand every WrestleMania almost Shane McMahon has to have some sort of crazy spot, and that fall from the steel cage match. I mean, that was pretty brutal, that landing, but I mean,
that had to suck, especially when you're 51?
Yeah, I think he's 51. Yeah, damn.
Yeah. I'm not doing that when I'm 51. I don't think I'm doing that now, honestly. That's a big fall.
I'm not even a wrestler, and I'm not doing that now. So, like, I'm just no. I mean, sometimes I wonder, like, I ask my friends, I'm like, would you do this? Would you, like, for instance, falling on thumbtacks, for example, how much would somebody have to pay you to fall on thumbtacks?
I've done it for free.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, you are a courageous man. because
actually I haven't fallen on them. To be fair, I've been hit with a thumbtack bat. That's all I've done with thumbtacks.
Oh, well, that might hurt too. I mean, no,
It did.
That would, yeah.
It did, but yeah, no, I haven't done I actually haven't done a big like bump onto thumbtacks, which I would not be crazy about, but for the right price, I would.
Like I imagine a singlet or a shirt or something can probably protect you a little bit, but if you're going bareback to those thumbtacks, oh my goodness. Every time, even to this day, I've been watching wrestling for 25 plus years, and still to this day, I'm like, oh no. No
way around it. It sucks.
Unless it's Lego, then I'm like, oh, I don't know.
Lego also hurts.
Yeah, I know. Lego was my enemy when I was a child. I loved it, but I hated it too when I stepped on it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So then the other, of course, bad thing about night one, and before we move on to night two, night one was definitely the better of the two nights, but that whole women's tag team championship from
travesty.
It was just
an absolute travesty.
Yeah. You said it best. Yeah, it was a disaster.
Billie Kay is the worst wrestler in the world. The world. She's embarrassing. Now answer me this, because you probably watched more of it than I did.
All right.
I recall, at least through, if not through directly seeing it, at least through word of mouth, Billie Kay and Peyton Royce being decent on NXT. Am I accurate there or not?
Oh, yeah, for sure, yeah.
Okay, so I don't know what's happened to Billie Kay, because as I said, she's currently the worst wrestler in the world. So I don't know what happened. She's embarrassing. She shouldn't be on TV. She should find another line of work.
Yeah, some people have been enjoying the whole resume thing, but it hasn't clicked with me. And then for her to go into a tag team with Carmella, and I'm like, Peyton Royce wasn't even on the bloody card. So if they're going to be a tag team, if they're going to be in this tag team championship match, which goes both shows, they could have slid Peyton Royce into there. And nobody wanted the Iconics to break. It was a dumb thing, and it was around when Raw Underground was on, and then that just disappeared. And then Peyton Royce was Peyton Royce chucked Billie Kay into the Underground thing. I don't know, but in NXT they were absolutely amazing. Like, I hated them, but I hated them for all the right reasons. And
they were like a good act, and they were like not horrible wrestlers, right?
Yeah. Well, Peyton Royce is definitely better.
Yeah, Peyton's better, but I thought even like Billie used to keep up her end of things, but I said, I don't know what's happened. She's the worst. I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Yeah, Peyton Royce is definitely a future women's champion as long as they let her. But I think what's happening is now that she's on the main shows, backstage is just telling her not to do much, because in NXT she was able to do quite a bit. And again, teaming up with Carmella was just so random. And you could have just kept it a 4-way. You didn't have to throw a fifth team in there.
Unnecessary. And also shout out to Lana for also being terrible, just not as terrible as Billie Kay. I love that one spot between them where like Lana was like kind of going to throw a kick, but then stopped, and then Billie Kay sold it anyways. We rewound that like 5 times and just laughed our asses off. It was so funny.
Is her name, is it CJ Kelly? Is that her name? Her real name? Lana's real name?
Good question. CJ Perry.
CJ Perry, yeah. So, I used to be so behind her. Like, even before, I think just slightly before her and Rusev were around a lot, she became, she got her own theme on SmackDown. She was starting to wrestle a bit. She was just starting out, right? But then the last year with the whole Nia Jax thing, her going through tables, her acting like this and acting crying and like just that's not the Lana that I liked years ago. Like, that's not the
Lana was very good as Rusev's manager, and that's how it should have stayed.
Well, she had that sexy, ravishing vibe to her, and even though she could only wrestle little, there was a lot of potential there. And now she's just there, and I'm like, stop making teams for the sake of teams and then splitting them up for the sake of splitting them up.
They love it. It's their favorite thing to do. Like, hey, we're going to split this team up. Oh, do you have a plan for either of the people you're splitting up? No, but we want to split them up.
Yeah. like the Hurt Business.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, moving on to night 2. Let's pick out the highlights, and then we'll talk about some stuff.
Sure.
So what's one of the big highlights for you from night 2?
I would say Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, which exact same thing as Cesaro Rollins, was an absolutely fantastic match that I wish had gotten at least another 5 minutes.
Yeah, they only went under 10 minutes.
Yeah, and it was so good it made me mad, because I'm like, you have these guys could do this every night.
Yep.
And you don't let them. Like, you made Sami Zayn a manager for a year because you thought he was funny, and you thought that funniness outweighed the fact has been one of the best wrestlers in the world for coming on 15 years. So it was shocking that they were just allowed to go out, have them, and I'm so happy for the two guys. I'm so happy for Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, who have known each other maybe have known each other for even longer, but have been wrestling each other since the early 2000s in Quebec, to get to have a singles match with each other on WrestleMania in front of fans. I'm sure they were over the moon about it, and they went out and did everything, like apron brainbuster, multiple exploders into the turnbuckle, that giant swinging fisherman's off the top that Kevin Owens did. I was wishing, and I knew it wasn't going to happen, but just the last couple spots, I think Owens hits a couple of super kicks and then stunner. I'm like, that stunner's probably going to be the finish, but I would love if Zayn just kicked out of the stunner and they did an insane 5-minute finishing sequence. They didn't. It was still I don't think they could have done a better 9-minute match. And clean finish, all that. Logan Paul didn't get involved in the match, thank God.
Yeah.
But yeah, so good it made me mad. You idiots don't know what you have with Sami Zayn.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Kevin Owens is also former Universal Champion as well. So, yeah. And Sami Zayn is multi-time IC champ, or I know he's not US champ, but
he had the IC for sure. Let me see.
I can't remember if he won it twice.
Yes, twice.
Yeah. He had
twice.
Yeah,
twice, but you could make an argument it was once, because he never lost it, because he was IC champion going into COVID, and then Vince said, if anyone is not comfortable coming to the shows because there is a global pandemic going on, that's fine. You don't have to. You will not lose your spot. So Sami Zayn takes him up on that offer, and of course is immediately stripped of the IC title. And then when he comes back, he wins it again.
Yeah, that is true. And also Sami Zayn is an NXT champion as well. So yes. I mean, they can they can. I mean, they've shown for years that they can wrestle, whether it's been on NXT, whether it's been the main shows, whether it's been former pay-per-view matches. But 9 minutes for those two crazy wrestlers. I mean, the moves they were dishing out were borderline hard hit. They were hard hitting moves. And of course, when you know somebody that well, you can go.
100%. You always hit your friends harder. No question.
Yeah.
So I just wish they had gotten another 5. The women's tag title got exactly 5 minutes more than them. So I don't know. Maybe switch those 2 times.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Yeah. I mean, now a highlight for me too was Sheamus and Riddle for the United States Championship. Again, only
it was good
match, but Sheamus Riddle, they have some chemistry, and I would like that to continue.
Yeah, it was very good. Sheamus ruined Riddle's face on the finish, which I'm sure Riddle was psyched about that, coming up bleeding everywhere. And it was a bummer that Sheamus completely blew the top rope white noise. But
he did recover well, though. I'll give him that.
Yeah, he did what he could. The way they set it up was bonkers to me. I'm like, so Sheamus was standing on the outside of the middle rope when he got Riddle in position. So I'm like, your plan is to like step up to the top rope with him, with like carrying him and then do it. Like, is there any reason you couldn't have just done it like with Sheamus sitting on the top rope, his feet on the inside middle rope, and just get him in like and do a middle rope one? Like you wouldn't have blown that. I don't know what the plan was. It was very confusing to me why he would try that.
Yeah, it was definitely weird. I mean, now I'm not a fan, and this isn't shitting on Mania, but I'm not a fan of what they've done to Riddle on the main shows.
Oh, you don't say. Taken one of the best wrestlers going and made him an R-Truth level comedy act?
Go ahead. Yeah, it's bad, and I mean, it's not the weed, it's not the stoner references. It's just the fact that, you know, when he was in NXT, that was the Matt Riddle that I got behind, and it's just been like, it looks like Matt Riddle, it sounds like Matt Riddle. He even says bro at times, but that's not Matt.
No, they just made him a total geek, like because Vince doesn't really pay that much attention to NXT until they're called up. And then he obviously does because they're on his shows. And like pretty much the first like Riddle promo he saw, he didn't understand it, but he found it funny. So and honestly, there's no bigger career killer on main roster WWE than being funny. If you do something that makes Vince laugh once, that's what you're doing for the rest of your career. See Santino, see R-Truth, and now see Riddle.
Yeah. You know, actually, speaking of truth, I'm actually surprised the 24/7 title wasn't defended at Mania.
No, I don't think they didn't do anything with it.
They didn't. I'm actually surprised about that. Yeah. Because I mean, it was all the rage last. Oh my God, you know, it's probably a good thing, because if they had it, they probably would have put it on Hogan. Oh man.
Oh my God.
First of all, you know, I'm just shitting on that now. I don't want Hulk Hogan. Enough of the Hulk Hogan. Like, even the audience booed him. Like,
he got booed.
Enough. He's done. Like, just let him be. Let him and his career.
He got booed in Tampa.
Yeah.
He's from Tampa.
yeah, I know. It's bad. Like, it's bad. Like, just let him be. And then trying to team him up with
hey, maybe if we put him with a black guy, people won't remember.
Yeah. I just no, it was just so bad. It was a headache. But if the 24/7 title had been on Mania, Hogan probably would have pinned R-Truth for it.
Yeah, that would be one of the strongest options, honestly. So probably for the best.
And that's what we would have remembered him by, his 24/7 reign.
Yep, former 24/7 champion Hulk Hogan.
Oh boy. Well, I mean, what a place to put his career, because I mean, it's not like anybody who matters loves that title. No offense to R-Truth. I mean, R-Truth has made it hilarious, but there's been so many opportunities where someone could have just taken out R-Truth and taken the title and they just walk away. And I'm like,
it's such a bummer. Like, all the people that are chasing the 24/7 title are like some of the best wrestlers in the company, and they don't do anything with them. Tozawa is so good. He's so good, and he never does anything. They made him a ninja, you racist assholes.
Yeah. That was, and that just came, but by the way, for the record, that just came out of nowhere. What was that, at the horror show or something like that? They just walk inside, and all of a sudden there's a bunch of ninjas everywhere.
Oh, look, there's ninjas.
Yeah, no character development, just snap of the fingers.
Yeah.
And then there's Akira Tozawa and a bunch of ninjas, and one of those ninjas was Omos. So it's
that's correct. That's true. That was the debut of Omos.
Yeah. Now, I'm not going to give this match too much time, because, frankly, WWE didn't give it much time, and that was the 6-minute match between Apollo Crews and Big E. Now, I'm happy Apollo won, because, you know, he's a heel, you know, that he's really come into this character, and I really, really dig it. But it was this Nigerian drum fight. No one knew it was going to be, except for, like, it's pretty much a no-holds-bar, anything goes. But
it was very unclear what it was going to be. Like, how do actual drums figure into it, if at all? Is it just a no DQ match, etc.? Yeah.
I think it was more a metaphor, like when Apollo Crews said that your bones would snap like drums or something like that. So I think that's where they get the match name from, maybe. But either way, under 7 minutes for a match, and I'm like, for a championship match, and it has a stipulation to it. I mean, I just, it was difficult to get behind it because by the time I was starting to get into it, it was done. So I mean,
they went pretty hard for 7 minutes, but at the end of the day, it was 7 minutes with a screw job finish. So how much into it can you get?
And let's just who's the guy that saved Apollo? Oh my God, we've never seen him before.
Once. It's definitely not my co-star from Netflix's The Main Event, Babatunde. It's definitely not him. My close personal friend Babatunde.
Yeah, and it's definitely not Damacato from Raw Underground.
Absolutely not. He definitely hasn't been on main roster television a bunch to the point where it was a mystery.
He was even part of the Raw draft.
Yeah.
Oh my God! And commentary's like, oh, we've never seen him before, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So I mean, what I did, I enjoyed what they did in the match, and it was the right person to win it, but it was just like, I'm happy with that. Now, before we get, I'm saving the most favorite for last. And you probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But one thing I want to shout out though was, now this match, 20 minutes, the main event, Roman Reigns defeated Edge and Daniel Bryan. Now, what I can say is the 20 minutes they wrestled, awesome. I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed the triple threat. I love the back and forth. Yeah. But before the match started, I said to my friends while we were all watching it together, and I said, all I want is, if Roman Reigns is going to retain, I mean, I wanted Edge to win. I thought Edge was the best person to win. It was so poetic. He lost it to the day, the 10th year. It just made so much sense. He won the Royal Rumble. Just give it to him for a couple of months and then just let him have it. Just let him have it. Daniel Bryan came back from an injury. He got the championship. He's lived the dream. He retired. He was forced to retire. He came back, became Captain Planet, and was, great. Like Daniel Bryan, the eco-friendly Daniel Bryan was hilarious. It was amazing. And so he got his retirement, comeback, championship. Now let Edge have that. Edge also maybe keep Edge face. Was that so hard? Well, that's the thing too. When everybody kept saying Edge was heel, and I was like, yeah, he's the rated R superstar again. But you know what? I agree with everything that Edge is saying. I don't think he's a heel right now. I'd be pissed off. Just because you're pissed doesn't mean you're a heel. Like, I
mean, he turned heel at the pay-per-view before Mania. That was a heel turn, and then he was a heel for the weeks leading up to Mania.
Again, I mean, if I was a wrestler and I was doing that, I would just be pissed off. Just because I'm pissed and angry doesn't mean I'm a heel. So
sure, you can be a pissed off face, but he was not booked from last pay-per-view on, he was booked as a heel. That's why Daniel Bryan was put in, was to be the face in the match.
For sure, yeah, absolutely. But I mean, everybody was cheering Edge. And
Edge was not treated as a heel in this match by any means. They were like, people wanted Edge to win.
Yeah, and regarding Roman Reigns winning, before the match, I said, as long as Roman Reigns beats Edge and Daniel Bryan in a dominant way, and what I mean by dominance is no shit from Jey Uso. Like maybe a little bit in the beginning, like he did.
Yeah, I mean, there was shit from Jey Uso, but not leading to the finish.
Yeah, just not the finish, and then pinning them both. Like, that's not dominance. That's again, every single spot you've been in. And then, of course, the botch with Kevin Owens where the ref had to stop the count and everything. It's just...
Oh, my God.
Like, I'm loving the whole Tribal Chief thing. I really am. I'm loving Roman Reigns' heel turn. I'm loving it. But every single match he has not made him dominant or head of the table.
And no, that's the thing. Like, he's portrayed this way, but, like, every match is Jey Uso cheating for him.
Yeah, so it's, and then of course Jey Uso won the thing on SmackDown too, the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. So
his first win in 6 months.
Jeez,
man. Of any kind.
So there was no momentum behind him at all winning that. Jeez.
I believe Jey was 0-7 for the year leading into that, and lost a number last year as well.
I personally, with that Battle Royal, I think it should have been Shinsuke in my opinion. But just because of where Shinsuke was a few weeks ago. But yeah, with Roman Reigns though cheating the win though, I was just like, I get it. A lot of people were happy about the result of Roman Reigns retaining. And again, if he had retained in that fashion, I would have been okay with it. And I'm not knocking the match. 20 minutes worth of just excellence. Like, I love seeing Edge in his prime again, just doing what he does best. Daniel Bryan knocked out of the park. Roman Reigns was great. That spot where the chair piece was in Roman Reigns' mouth. Like, you know, it was awesome. It's just the finish that rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Roman should have won. Especially if Lashley won on night one. You're really gonna have a 2-day WrestleMania, your first shows in over a year with fans and a lot of fans, and you're gonna have both heel world champions retain at WrestleMania. That, like, the disdain that shows for your fans is crazy to me.
Yeah, I thought the exact same thing. First show was
give them a face win. What is your problem? If you have plans for the heel champion, have him get it back shortly, but give him a face win at WrestleMania. Jesus Christ! Like
I mark my words. Like okay, there's a bunch of people that are happy that Roman Reigns retained. Okay, and there's some people that are happy with Bobby Lashley retaining. Okay, but I guarantee you, the roof that was not on Raymond James Stadium, there would have been a metaphorical roof, and it would have blew it. Would
have been huge.
Blew off the roof had of Edge won and Drew McIntyre won, and that's what everybody.
Yeah, as it stands, the crowd, considering the circumstances, was pretty dead for both nights. I know it's because they were in like a typhoon on night one, so they were like cold and wet and miserable. So I feel that, but like, yeah, they weren't, like, considering none of them had been to a WWE show in over a year, if not much longer. Like, they weren't that into that much stuff.
Yeah, and again with WrestleMania Backlash around the corner, we could have just reversed it there. Like, Roman Reigns take it off of Edge. Like, just take it off Edge there. But give everybody a really feel good moment and give Drew McIntyre. That's what everybody was talking about.
Give them a face world title win. Also, on the Drew McIntyre thing, one thing that's bad. So in hindsight, why, if Lashley was going to win at Mania, why did you have Drew McIntyre lose the belt to The Miz, who then a week later lost it to Lashley? Why not just have McIntyre hold it to Mania and if you're having Lashley win, have it be a title change at Mania and not just him retaining? Isn't that bigger?
Yeah. I completely agree. Now,
I don't get it.
We have about 10 minutes left of the podcast, so I mean, it's not, time flies when you're bitching about WWE.
Absolutely.
But
so we better talk about the real main event.
Yeah, so before I mentioned it, I just want to have a quick shout out to Rhea Ripley becoming women's champion. I actually enjoyed that 10-minute back and forth between her and Asuka. I want to see more of it, and hopefully, you know, it'll be a good reign for Rhea Ripley for the next 6 months. I just want to have about three feuds with her for 2 months each, and if she loses at SummerSlam, so be it. But or if, you know what, I found another shout out there too. I mentioned Sasha Banks winning Money in the Bank possibly this year, but I saw somebody shout out on Twitter, and I forget who it was, but they mentioned that they would love to see Io Shirai win the Money in the Bank this year, and I couldn't agree more.
Great.
I think Io Shirai winning that.
Io's awesome.
Yeah, Io Shirai winning it. She's done all she can in NXT, well, except for the tag team titles, but you know what I mean. Yeah. She's been dominant in NXT. Let her win Money in the Bank and let her take it from Rhea Ripley.
Sure. Great. I'm all for that.
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome. Or Bianca Belair, but I think there's something there with Rhea Ripley. Anyway.
Yeah. So, Ripley was the right person to win. I wanted more from the match. I was trying to think, like, am I just because I watched both days of the show on the Sunday. I'm like, am I just kind of burnt out and not into this? But then I read the reviews. I'm like, oh, nobody was that into this match. It was just fine.
Yeah, it was.
And considering the talent of both, I expected more.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree. And they also had a repeat match on the following night, which
was apparently worse.
Some were saying that it was better, but I mean, it wasn't bad.
Okay. All right.
It wasn't bad. Like, if you're saying it wasn't bad for a championship match, it couldn't have been that good. But I mean, I think it was better, maybe, than their Mania performance. But either way, I mean, I didn't think it needed to happen. But earlier on in the podcast, we were mentioning the chime-in noises. You know, WWE has the power of the Thunderdome. You know, they can do whatever they want. They can make cheers, they can make boos, they can do whatever they want. They control everything, but they can't control the audience at Mania this year. And that came. Randy Orton defeated the Fiend with interference from Alexa Bliss. So it was a distraction finish, which is some raw bullshit.
A distraction finish by, like, the person's friend distracted them,
and we didn't even
not the opponents.
Yeah, and we didn't even get really much of a follow up on Raw either. There were still many questions.
No. Yeah, or Orton's on to other things. Fiend is just doing Bray Wyatt Funhouse, and I guess Alexa is the Fiend now. I don't know.
Like, some people liked it, but this is where I'm coming from it.
Who are these people? Give me their names and addresses.
So this was a 6-month feud.
Yes.
6 months. Now, first of all, you could argue that it went longer than that because Alexa Bliss was abducted by the Fiend way back in, like, the Performance Center. Now, I've been really liking the slow character change through Alexa Bliss, getting darker and more twisted as the months go on. I dig that. That's good. That's long-term storytelling. Now, I'm all for Alexa Bliss turning on the Fiend because, you know, essentially that the other Alexa Bliss is trapped within her and blah, 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 you know, wrestling.
Right.
When everybody says something, just like, how is this happening in wrestling? It's like the classic when someone looks at an anime, it's like anime. Like, you know, how is it's just wrestling. But anyway, you know, I wouldn't have minded Alexa Bliss turning on the Fiend at any given time except this one. And what I mean by that is the Fiend was lit on fire by Randy Orton. So we took 4 months for the Fiend to come back. People were waiting 4 months. And I was told that, just got to give it patience. Just got to be patient with the feud. There's a big blow-off happen. Or there's a big blow-up going to happen. A big blow-off? The blow-off was now. Like, the blow-off was at Mania. The greatest thing, the greatest, you know, wrestling show that WWE has. Yeah. And it was finished in roughly 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
With a distraction from Alexa Bliss and one RKO.
Yeah, I thought Fiend's thing was he didn't sell even finishers a lot of the time. So did the RKO get better?
Well, that's the thing too. Randy Orton also lost the night after. He lost.
Right. That's correct.
With Drew McIntyre. So I was like, oh my god, like it was just painful. And then of course, you know, these people kept telling me, oh yeah, they're gonna follow up with the Raw. They're gonna have a big thing in the.
No, they're not.
And apparently it was rumored that this feud between the Fiend and Randy Orton was going to carry right on to Money in the Bank. And I was like, oh, don't do that. It's been 6 months already. Now is the time to capitalize. Randy Orton finishes off, the Fiend finishes off Randy Orton, and we move on. Like, you know, Randy Orton can go away for a month, come back, and then whatever. But
apparently this was one of a couple of finishes that were changed like the day of the show.
Yeah, Vince and Bruce Pritchard changed at the last moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To an infinitely, like, more nonsensical finish. Like the Fiend has never beaten Randy Orton. Like, their last match, which was an Inferno match, Randy literally murdered him. So then they followed up that Inferno match with a singles professional wrestling match and with no stipulation. And Randy just beat him again. So tough shit, Fiend.
I even said this too to support the argument of Randy Orton winning. I even said, you know what? If Randy Orton hit him with like 3 RKOs and then gave him the punt kick, sure, okay, maybe.
How about 1 RKO?
But not just 1 RKO and a distraction. It's like, I couldn't. And then this is where I talk about the WWE chiming in the boos or the cheers. The audience, you couldn't put in enough audio to overdo that boo, and they cut that.
It was so great because people were saying going into Mania, like pretty much everyone was saying like, look, we know Orton Fiend is going to be stupid. No one's arguing that.
Yeah.
But it's the first show with fans. Fans are going to be so forgiving. They're not going to boo stuff that Vince doesn't want booed. And I'm like, I think Orton Fiend is going to be so bad they're going to boo it anyway. And guess what? I was right.
Oh, they butchered it. And the fact that they only booed it for like 30, maybe 20 seconds, and then WWE cut it off and went to something else. Like they didn't want the audience to boo there, and that's their only direction when the audience is booing.
And then they showed a replay later and they got booed again.
No,
was great.
No, if you go back and watch the replay, they changed the audio.
Oh no, they changed the audio, but there was still faint live audience booing.
Oh yeah, you could see all the thumbs going down, but they changed the audio in the earlier clip, and I was like, oh my god, you insecure bastards!
It's amazing. Like you know what would be easier, and call me crazy here. Why not book stuff that's not going to get booed like that? And so then you don't have to worry about changing the audio. Like book stuff that gives you the real audio you want. Book something good, idiots.
It's a revelation, Scott.
I know, it seems crazy.
It does. It's an epiphany that I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, again, the night one was a lot of fun, even though Bobby Lashley defeated Drew. I enjoyed it. I really did enjoy night one, minus the tag team women's mess. Just travesty. But everything else on night one, I really did enjoy. And again, there was a lot of highlights for me for night two, but the first match being that 5-minute match between Randy Orton and The Fiend. Oh boy, did the first hour of night two suck. That sucked the life right out of it for me. I was
real bad.
So excited.
Because you were messaging me before I had started watching night two, and you're like, this is bad.
yeah. I sent you a message, and I was just like, oh no, and like me and my partner were sitting there going, oh, like we were so bummed because we were so excited to see The Fiend return. And I don't really invest in WWE anymore. I don't. But I was investing in this 4-month return. And the reason Bray took so long was because of, the passing of Brody Lee, right? So he needed some personal time. Yeah, he needed some personal time with that too.
Oh, I didn't know that. I mean, that makes sense. I didn't think about that though.
Yeah, they were very, very close. There was scheduled for him to come back earlier. But
really? Huh.
Yeah, just a little bit earlier. Not like 4 months, but like,
Right.
But he needed that time off, and of course, he needed that time off. But so for him to come back 4 months later after a 6-month feud and get defeated by one RKO by a distraction finish, it's just I don't. And
what's especially fun is that like there haven't been a lot of singles matches that have happened at WrestleMania more than once. Like you got like Hogan, Andre, Cena, Rock, Austin Rock, maybe a couple others, and then Orton, Bray Wyatt. 2 of the worst matches in the history of WrestleMania. So shout out to those guys.
Oh God, I forgot about the maggots.
You forgot about the maggots. How could you forget about the maggots? They're very important to WrestleMania history.
Because I forgot about them because I put it behind me like I want to do this feud right here. There's not enough drugs in the world.
Yeah.
Don't do drugs. Oh man, no. Yeah, I just. That's the way that we're gonna end things on this podcast. That's where we're gonna.
The legacy of Orton versus Wyatt.
I mean, I don't even know where they go from here because Randy Orton lost his match on Monday, and if they do continue it, and if it is WrestleMania Backlash, I don't know. If they obviously...
I think it would be cool if I didn't see them together again ever. I'm happy. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, I even heard a rumor too that maybe the Fiend or Bray Wyatt might win Money in the Bank and then cash in on Roman Reigns, because there actually is a feud there. They haven't touched it yet. They've been very careful about that feud.
That's true. Yes.
There's a lot there to unpack with Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt. That was.
And I guess they're going to do a draft sometime, right?
I don't know when it is. I don't know if it's going to be September, or if it's going to be before SummerSlam. I'm not sure, but the next thing I'm looking forward to now is Money in the Bank come June. I mean, the Backlash is just going to be there, and I don't know if they're going to change any championships there. I mean, if it's going to be a WrestleMania Backlash and there's going to be a bunch of rematches, I don't want Rhea Ripley to lose. I don't want Bianca to lose.
If they have a face win a world title at Backlash that they could have won at Mania, I'm going to lose my goddamn mind.
Well, you might want to prep your mind. All right, man. Well, can you share your socials for everybody out there so they can follow you on Twitter and whatnot?
Sure. At Not Scott Henson on Twitter. Send me some money at paypal.me/Not Scott Henson, and listen to the Worst Year of Our Lives podcast, available wherever podcasts are sold for free.
Yeah. And you can find it on our newsfeed on Twitter under Lotus Moon Prod as well, because I try to retweet that as much as possible. And,
yep, I see you just did my most recent one. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man. And you can find the rest of our socials at SoundCloud under Lotus Moon Productions, Facebook under Lotus Moon Productions, Lotus Moon Pride under Twitter, as I said before, Lotus M Productions on Instagram for the music side of things, and you can search us on YouTube under Lotus Moon Productions. Well, with that, this has been LMP Wrestling. Hopefully, we will get another wrestling podcast out next week, and we are signing off.